the 11 years, is there somewhere, when you look behind now, you do an assessment, right, where the EFF lost its way in as far as ideological grounding is concerned, in terms of either positions that you took, you know, the conduct of your members, or certain members who, you know, maybe, you know, fell off the bandwagon? I mean, I'm not even talking about the ones now. We're going to talk about those later, like the Andilem Tikamas who left somewhere in the middle to say, no, these people are not Marxists, and so on. There seems to be a contestation about whether the EFF has kept to that ideological framework over the 11 years. Anything you can reflect there where there's been that kind of misstep?
Well, the EFF, it can be criticized on anything, but no one has ever even attempted to suggest that we have moved away from the founding manifesto of the EFF, that we have done things that are not left, that are not Marxist, and that they cannot associate with. If they left the EFF because it's not a Marxist enough, it's not Lenin enough, it's not left enough, where are they now? Where they are now, is there anything left that looks left? So it was just political maneuvering, fundraising reasons of why you want to leave. But no policy document of the EFF suggested that we move to a particular direction and abandon our principles. Let's take a principle on borderless Africa. There is this imaginary sponsored attack on the EFF that, we will not vote for them because of they want the borders to be opened and all of that. It can't change. If we are ahead of society, sorry, it's not our problem. Because the borders are not there, and the borders are naturally going to just fade away, and we're going to live together as we're living together now. Ordinary people are already living together now. So we are so backward that ordinary people have taken a lead.
Let's interrogate that a little bit. Don't you think, right, that correct as that position is, I'm sure you know I agree with that position. You know, I can speak endlessly about the xenophobia, etc. Right? You've just said now that some of your own members, despite that we are Marxist organizations, sometimes get confused about this whole issue about, you know, integration, unity of Africa, etc. Don't you think those who are not members could even be even more confused in a way that you package that message? For example, where you just say, well, you know, they must be creative. I'm quoting you verbatim. I don't know what was the context, but where you had said, no, they must be creative. If they have to swim through here, let it be. Then later on, you were clear to say, yes, but they must have documents, which are two different things. Address me on that.
No. They must be creative. It was during COVID, where the workers were locked out of their country. They work here. They've got papers. So I was not saying they must come in
without papers.
Without papers. They are the workers who were asked, please go home. Everybody stay in your houses. We've got this problem. And as the problem is going away, they are refusing to open the gates for those workers, especially the compliant ones who have documents and all of that. That's all I was addressing. But because propaganda is propaganda, they will twist it and create an impression that, no, he said they must flood into here. And then,
what does your own research tell you, though, about whether that issue, right, could actually have cost you votes? You were clear, right? I think you were asked by one of our colleagues that, you know, would you retract that situation in order to get votes? And you said, oh, well, I would rather not have those votes.
There's no research that suggests otherwise. Even if it was suggesting anything of that sort, I won't do it. I would rather go home. I'm not going to agree that I must speak very bad and ill about black people. For me to be elected president of South Africa. So it means I will be climbing on top of my people, using them to become what I want to become. Even if I become president, I want to enjoy it, because you want to become the president to help the oppressed masses of our people. Who are the oppressed masses of our people? It's blacks and Africans in particular. The whole continent has got a problem, and it needs a revolutionary leader who's going to lead from the front in determining the liberation of our own continent. So we did not form the EFF for purpose exclusively of elections.
Yeah.
EFF was formed with an intention to conscientize the black child,
Yeah.
to liberate the arrested mind of an African child. That African child must speak truth to power and must be proud in their blackness, and that they must never apologize and seek to want to be like other people, because we are the best. And our best is demonstrated by the fact that we survive under very difficult circumstances.
Why do you think black consciousness orientated organizations in the context of a new South Africa, say post 94, right, end up in the margins? I mean, look at Azapo. I mean, Azapo had big intellectual giants who could tell you, 10 times the theory you've just told me now,
So do you know what we call ourselves in the EFF? We call each other fighters.
Yeah.
What did they call each other in Azapo?
Tower.
Tower. What is the tower?
Are you saying that they're detached?
No, that's what they were saying. They were calling themselves tower, that when they speak, they say we're towering above them. So they enjoy speaking the language no one wants to hear. So, and it lost a mass character.
Yeah.
So they were saying they are towering, tower. They were meaning they are above us, and they don't care.
But so, you say the same thing. You only say
I'm not saying
superior logic.
No.
I'm superior
saying,
to who?
I'm saying we are so advanced. You see, President Mbeki, we hated him for one thing. He was too ahead of all of us. You can only disagree with him on TV. When he sits here and he unpacks why South Africa must have a female president, we're going to have a female president, out of what President Mbeki would have told us. Because he was ahead of his time. And that's what the EFF is suffering from.
Let me pause. I want to pick that up after the break, because the reason I was asking about this organization like Azapo ending up as a boutique is that you got a situation where the history of all the small parties, PAC, for example, Azapo, etc., are fading. I want you to tell me straight in my face tonight why the electoral decline when you had been on such an upward trajectory. Look, man, why the electoral decline? I've not had a chance to talk to you about it, after the elections, because we are very busy putting together a new government or not.
Yeah.
Why the decline? Your assessment by now should be clear.
We suffered, like all political parties, to the MK. The EFF's numbers look exactly as we know them. We are not where we were in 2014. We got certain numbers in 2014, increased those numbers in 2019. And where that increase came from was in KZN. And that's why in KZN, we reduced our members to mere 2 members of the legislature. And in most other provinces, we increased our members. So we know where our problem comes from. Our problem is in KZN. Our people were misled and organized on the basis of tribalism and backwardness and lies and in the main. And therefore, we are duty-bound, and I'm happy I see the public representatives and structures of the EFF province in KZN on the ground, servicing the masses of our people as we prepare to open schools tomorrow and weeks to come, and also leading issues of service delivery. So DFF, it will never be like Azapo or PAC, because what is going to make EFF survive is that it must maintain its mass character. It must have an intimate relationship with the masses. But in doing so, you don't become the masses. You have to be, as leadership of the EFF, advanced detachment of society. Because society sees you as a doctor of society. That when we have problems, the person who's going to heal us is this one. So as a doctor, you have to demonstrate certain qualities that I've got this. So if they lose the mass character and want to become elite, which exists for purposes of elections and to benefit the mere few individuals who have got proximity to the leadership, then it will die a natural death. The EFF can't be killed by individuals like Malema. The EFF can't be killed by anyone except its own members on the ground who will say this is no longer serving its purpose. So,
I'll come to that, but I want you to zone in on the MK. Basically, you are saying your problem was MK.
Yes.
MK has chowed your breakfast.
Absolutely. MK took from us in KZN, in Gauteng, where MK got, that's where the EFF votes have declined.
It's my impression that...
And in Mpumalanga.
Yeah, I've got two impressions you may correct. One is that you wanted Zuma to endorse EFF.
Yes.
He refused, he formed his own party.
Yes.
So immediately at that point, am I right to say you didn't think that he was going to propel to such a rapid upward trajectory? In other words, you assumed, right, that he will come in way below EFF and then you'll be able to partner with them. So there was never a dismissal of MK as a potential partner.
Well, we knew that President Zuma is going to form a party after we persuaded him to endorse the EFF. Just imagine if President Zuma had endorsed the EFF, we will be very far, especially when he talks about this unity of political
progressive forces.
Yeah, you find a progressive party. And then you say, no, I'm going to form another party so that you close your party and join my party. No, we were not saying close anything. We were saying endorse. I even went beyond to say we can then sit down so that you address your concerns with me and say, you know, when you guys take over, the following issues need to be attended to. It was an honest discussion that me and him had.
So what went wrong? Because
no, nothing went wrong. His mind was made up.
In terms of
forming a party.
Yeah,
in terms of forming a party. His mind was made up. There was no one who was going to convince him. But one thing that you must all observe, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm happy because I was part of it and I'm no longer part of it, and I can watch it from outside and I laugh at those who are supporting these nonsensical things. Go and look at the videos if you are lazy to read. Go and look at the videos of the people who were with Zuma from the beginning, from when he was accused of rape, from when we made him president. I even dropped a tear at the Union Building. And then subsequently, we didn't support him. We were saying Malema must be president and all of that. Look at all those people who supported Zuma under those circumstances. Not a single one of them is still with Zuma. So once he uses you, he throws you very far. But there is one person who's always by Zuma, and Zuma has never dropped this person. It's the daughter, Duduzile Zuma.
Yeah, well, suppose naturally.
It's not natural. How would it be natural between me and Ratana? That Ratana comes and run affairs of the EFF and we say it's natural. You're going to be the first one to talk about you. This is a family trust, Ratana trust, and all of that. Everybody else has collapsed. Zwelim Kize.
Yeah. So what turns on that? What's that about?
So the point is, everybody else who's running circles around him, they will all become hobos. Watch the space. Because if it's not for his family, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but you knew that when you were saying to him, endorse us. Because then it means that he was going to endorse you and then throw you away.
No. Well, you can't. How do you endorse me and throw me away? I didn't say swallow me. You can throw away what you have swallowed.
He would have used you.
No, I was using him, endorse me. It was not the other way around because he's used to being endorsed.
Yeah.
So I said, but this time around,
you endorse us.
Endorse someone else and let it not be about you.
Yeah.
And then
now that you have identified, sorry to interrupt you. Now that you have identified the MK problem, right, is now your solution to take out the big guns and say this is our enemy? Can you explain that to me from a Marxist perspective?
When you come with a neoliberal agenda to collapse the left organization, you constitute the enemy forces. Why do you want to close the EFF? Why do you go about it the way you are doing it, eating it from within and wanting to finish it? Whose agenda are you pursuing in the finishing of the EFF? It can only be the agenda of white monopoly capital. Let's leave this nonsense that you are uniting black people. You found a party that had structures and machinery everywhere else. If that agenda was exactly that, you would have said, guys, let's go and support the EFF. You cannot undermine Zuma. He's a former president. To be endorsed by a former president doesn't matter whether you like him or not. It's a very bold political statement in your favor. And that's what we wanted. We wanted him to endorse us because we knew he had influence. But we're not going to join the things that are actually led by him because he's unreliable.
But Julius, you formed the Progressive Caucus. Why? Because you knew Zuma. You know Zuma more than many people. The thing you are describing now, you didn't learn now when there's tensions. You've known it. You've known his pattern of doing things. But your first action in Parliament was to have a Progressive Caucus with all of the parties there.
So, in Parliament, we said we're not going to be part of the GNU, which include DA and Freedom Front. Because these are the people who are advancing the agenda of imperialism, of whiteness. This is an apartheid organizations. And therefore, we cannot go sit on the same dinner table with the killers of Chrisan. And we refuse. That is the only point of difference between us and the ANC. They said, come in. Maybe if you come in, the DA is going to walk away. But we knew it was not going to walk away. It was not going to walk away. So, and then we're going to be forced now to be smiling with Helen Zile's Botox everywhere we go. And that becomes now our problem. So we refused that. Then we said all parties, we didn't say Zuma. We said all parties that are rejecting the GNU of Helen and Ramaphosa come together. And let's agree on issues that are going to be
but you didn't
the minimum
exclude
program.
MK.
Yes.
Despite the neoliberal agenda that you're talking about.
We didn't. We called everyone. The calling was not based on the ideology. It was the requirement was the rejection of the GNU. When you reject GNU, let's constitute a powerful opposition and expose the shenanigans of this DA-led government. So, do you know that we voted with DA here in Johannesburg and everywhere else to remove the corrupt ANC? So it's not much of an alliance between EFF and the DA. We didn't have any alliance. But as a revolutionary who's got a strategy, you must also have the tactics. So you use the tactics to arrive at your strategic objective.
And sitting in the GNU with DA would never be considered a tactic?
No, it was not a tactic. So it was a betrayal. You must learn to differentiate betrayal and tactics.
The ANC insists that it was a tactical move, otherwise they would be out of power.
No, they sold out. They were not going to be out of power. The ANC can constitute minority government without any political party voting with them. They can win president of the Republic of South Africa in Parliament. It was a sell-out position, and they know it. And they will live to regret that decision.
The DA represents... broadly, we may represent white constituents, right? In your ideal future for this country, right, where do white people feature? In your view, in a context of how this GNU thing is being reasoned, because they're saying, well, let's put everybody together, black and white together, even if we may not agree ideologically, and identify minimum programs that, won't upset either.
The agenda has never been to bring black and white together.
Okay.
The agenda is to bring parties that will defend the interest of white capital together. And once you defend the interest of white capital, you are defending the interest of white people to the exclusion of black people.
Let's zone in.
So
after,
you are saying, where is the place of white people in South Africa? In my view, their place is South Africa.
Yeah.
They've got no special status of citizenship.
So they are representative of 20%. Is it something that can be ignored? Let's say the EFF.
It's racist.
The EFF was actually the majority party.
It's actually people who are voting for DA in